For today's recipe, we will need 6 Chiles Rellenos, or they're also called Chile pasilla or Chile poblano. They go by different names depending on where you're getting them, and they look like this. We're going to need about 2 cups of flour, all-purpose, 6 eggs, about 6 tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. I'm adding 4 serranos, but you can omit this. I happen to like my sauce a little bit spicy. We're adding 1/4 onion, 5 garlic cloves, and you can do less if you don't love garlic cloves like I do. We're going to use about a pound of queso fresco, and I have another one too, just in case it was already opened. We have chicken bouillon, oregano, toothpicks, and oil. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grill our chiles. Not too much to burn them, but just enough so that we're able to peel them. And I'll show you what that looks like. And it's much easier if you do them on the grill outside since you have more space, but I'm only making 6. And you're looking for that blistering effect. And this is what we're looking for. You want to char them a little bit so that you're able to peel them. So once they're all blackened like this, we're going to put them in a bag. Alright, now once they look like this throughout the chili, we're going to put them in a bag to sweat out any moisture. So they're all looking nice and charred, as you can see. I'm going to put them in the bag. And this one still needs a little bit more time. And we're going to seal the bag, and they need to be in the bag for about 10 to 15 minutes. This will allow them to sweat out any moisture, become a little bit softer and easier to peel. Now that I have put all our chilies into a bag and I'm letting them sit for about 10 minutes, I'm going to start on my salsa so I don't waste any time. I've added all the tomatoes, the serranos, and the 1/4 onion. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to blend it with the chicken bouillon and the garlic cloves. Now, meanwhile that's going on, we're going to move on to the egg. Now for the eggs, we're going to separate the egg yolk with the egg white. So I have a little cup, and it has this cute little gadget where I dump the egg in here, the clear comes down through it, and the yolk stays on here. Obviously, you can just do it by hand, but I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. And I'm going to do all 6 eggs. And I think I got this little guy at Walmart. It's actually pretty cool. See how it catches the egg? And you have your clear down here. So you don't have to get messy or anything like that. So we're going to do that with all our eggs. And then we're going to beat the clear and the yolk separately, and then we're going to combine them. Obviously, you can do it by hand. I'm just really trying not to get messy. I tend to be a messy cooker, and I figured today was the day where I was going to be as clean as I could be. Obviously failing. And these eggs are large eggs. They're not extra large, they're large. Alright, now that we have our egg yolks and our egg white separated, I'm going to dump my egg white in this bowl. And I'm going to mix it until it's nice and frothy. Now this is what we're looking for. This is the consistency we want, nice and frothy. Now I'm going to mix my egg yolks, excuse me, and then I'm going to fold them into my egg white. And halfway through this process, I like to add salt and pepper to my yolk. Just gives it a little extra flavoring. And it's all up to taste. I'm honestly not adding that much. It's just enough for a little bit of flavor. Before I continue with folding in my egg yolk into my egg white, I want to prepare the salsa so that that's already done and we can go ahead and move on to the chilies. So our salsa has been boiling for about 10 minutes. We're going to go ahead and add our garlic cloves to our blender. We're going to add our tomatoes. And we don't have to peel them or anything like that. We just add them whole. We're adding our onion and our serranos. And we're going to use some of this same water. And you want to have enough sauce for all your chilies. So I'm going to add about a cup of water. And then we're going to add some chicken bouillon. And this is also to taste, but I'm thinking about 2 tablespoons. And then you can go ahead and taste it and see if you like it. So now that our salsa has been blended, we're going to pour it into this pot with some oil to thicken it. Now sometimes people add flour in and mix it with the oil to thicken the sauce. I don't like it that thick, so I think this is fine for me. And caution, there's gonna be splatter, so be careful. Oh, not much of a splatter this time, but it's happened to me, I swear. Okay, now we're going to let that simmer for about 15 minutes and we get to move on to our chilies. Now meanwhile, I'm heating up a pan to fry my chilies. I'm going to start peeling my chilies. And it's a very simple task. You just get a paper towel and you just rub off the charred spots like this until it's nice and smooth. If you can see, but you're just taking off all those little shard pieces. Alrighty, so I went to get a light so maybe you guys can see this better, but you're just rubbing off all the blackened part of the chili. And we're going to do this for all the chilies. And once we finish, we're going to move on to our next step, which is stuffing them. I like to wear gloves again. For things like this, I like to just wear gloves so I don't have to get super messy and it gets in my nails, and I'd rather not. So there you have it. And for these, you can just peel it off like this with your nails. And this is what it'll look like. And then we're going to do this for everything. I'm going to set them aside. It comes off super easily. If you don't grill them for enough time, this is going to be a harder process. But because I grilled them to the point where they were blackened, they're pretty easy. And now, like I said, while I'm doing this, I'm simmering my sauce and I'm heating up the pan that I'm going to use for frying my chilies. My pan for frying the chilies, I have it at low to medium because I don't want it to overheat if this takes me a little bit longer. We're going to go ahead and stuff them. So there was one here that's a little imperfect, and that's okay, we'll work around it. There's a missing piece. See, it's that I overshard it a little bit, but that's okay, we'll make it work. Now I have my cheese here, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut it into slices. And we're going to stuff. So we're going to cut a little slit on the chili. And you can remove the seeds or leave them. I like to leave them, they don't bother me. And honestly, I'm just hungry. So I'm going to stuff it in there, stuff the cheese in there. And then we get a little toothpick and we just put it through, like so. If you need more than one toothpick, go ahead. And now you've stuffed it. Now you put it aside, and we do the same for the rest of them. This one already has a little hole in there, so I'm just going to use that hole to stuff my chili. And when I seal it, I'm just going to be more careful. Listen, if I can do these, you can do these. I'm a total amateur. So I know a lot of people tend to be intimidated with the kitchen. I used to be that way, and honestly, things don't have to come out perfect, but as long as you put love and you know, you try your best, it'll be good. Some people also stuff these with ground beef mix, and that's good too, but I really don't like them with meat. I like the cheese. So I'm going to continue stuffing them, and once I'm done, we're going to move on to the frying. Now it's time to move on to our egg mixture. So as you recall, we have our fluffy whites and our yolks. I'm going to put our yolks in with our fluffy whites. And I'm just going to gently fold it in. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the frying process. Now before I move on to the frying process, I just want to note that my sauce has been cooking. You can see I added the oregano, and I also like to add one extra thing to my sauce that, you know, people don't regularly do. I add some of the same cheese into my sauce as little chunks. It's a really nice surprise when you get it in your meal because I love cheese. So these nice little chunks are also give the meal a lot of flavor, and they're just delicious. So I added the oregano and the cheese, the chunks of cheese. That's all I've done, and it's still simmering on very, very low. And I'm just simmering it now because meanwhile I fry my chilies. It's already done, but I'm just keeping it warm. So now to move on to our chili portion here. Grab our chilies, and we're going to roll them in the flour gently. Then we're going to put them in the egg, cover it up. And we're going to throw them to fry. We're going to do the same process for all of them. Okay. Now we're going to dip it in the egg. Like I said, we're not all perfect, and at the end of the day, these are going to come out delicious. So now I have 3 of them frying. We're going to fry them until they're nice golden brown color, and then we're going to flip them and continue the process with the remaining 3 chilies. Now I just flipped 2 of them over so you can see the difference. There's that nice golden brown color I'm talking about. And this one should be almost ready to be flipped. When you're flipping them, try to be very, very gentle and put the spatula underneath and just very, very gently turn it over so that some of that egg doesn't get splattered everywhere. And once they're cooked, we're going to move them to a paper napkin to get rid of all the excess oil and ready to prep our plate. And there we have our fried chilies. They look gorgeous, and I'm about to plate this one so you can see what it looks like when it's ready to be served. Alrighty, now there you have it. I have served this one with a side of rice, and I poured sauce on top and underneath. It smells delicious, and here I've plated it a little bit differently, just the chili with the sauce below. It all depends on how you want the look to be. I prefer it nice and messy like this because it tastes so delicious. But if you're trying to impress someone, you can always serve it this way. And this was actually a pretty big chili, but you can see the oregano. Oh, it just smells amazing. Either way, this rice recipe, I have it on my YouTube channel. So I'll go ahead and link that below. And I hope you guys give this recipe a try.